Hey, Pro Organizers, it's your podcast host, Melissa, and I am bringing you two episodes, possibly three. If I can get my act together, you guys are going to get 3 episodes this week. I was laughing because I get pitched a lot for people who want to be on the podcast. And someone sent me an email and said, "You have not had a podcast episode in a very long time. Have you shuttered the podcast?" And I'm like, well, it was a month ago. I don't think that was a very long time ago, but what do I know? Maybe it was. So, you guys, I'm sorry if you are that person going, where is Melissa? Melissa has been graduating a high school senior, throwing a party, having a lot of house guests, and just a lot going on. So I am sorry if you have missed me. Some of you might not have even known that I was gone, but I'm back. Like I said, you're going to get 2, possibly 3 podcasts this week. Hopefully that will make up to it. And the person who said, you haven't podcasted in a very long time, I hope you're happy. But this week, so the first 2 podcasts are 2 truly of my favorite people. This is not just like performative, like, oh, we're friends. No, we're friends. And they're such wonderful people. And it's Brandy and Ryan from HomeSort, and who are the, of course, leaders of the How To Summit, which is an event that I personally and professionally love. So, the first episode, we are going to be talking about all sorts of things, like the great things that they do in their business. And they really talked about some things that I think are important for all organizers, no matter the size of their business. And then the second episode, we are going to be talking about everything that is new and different and fun about the How To Summit this year. I would love, love, love to see you at the How To Summit. Usually, our Inspired Organizer group has about, like, legitimately about 100 people there. And I absolutely love meeting new people and seeing all of the Inspired Organizer community in Texas or Ohio or wherever it is. I told them at the end of the podcast, the second episode, that if the How To Summit were on Mars, I would still go. So I would love to see you there this year. If you have not registered yet, if you use the code Melissa10, you will get a discount on your ticket, and I would love to see you there. But today's podcast is all about HomeSort and their business and how they run their business and just some really, really great stuff. And I hope you guys enjoy it. Have an awesome day, organizers.
Well, listen, we're here for whatever. We could talk to you for 10
Yes.
hours. Just
I
know
know.
when
I
I
know. I feel the same about you guys. I just want to thank you for joining me with me and my trashy car, like for people watching on YouTube, literally filled with client garbage. You guys are in your nice, cozy, comfortable homes. So it's so good to see you guys.
You're gonna laugh at this. The other day, I'm on the phone with Ryan. She gets in her car and she's mad. She like makes a mad sound. I said, "What's your problem?" She goes, "I forgot to take all the client trash out of my car and even booted it, and
The
my car
worst.
reeked."
It smell I had to
Oh,
drive California, it's hot here. I had to drive with the windows down. I went to my sister's store and threw it. I was so mad. That was disgusting.
yeah, this is not bad. This is not bad trash, but it is just in my car. So anybody watching on YouTube gets a view of the trash in the background.
Yeah.
In addition to being in my car with the garbage, I am sitting in a Starbucks parking lot, stealing their Wi-Fi to do this podcast. And I was like, this is kind of like a fitting description of what it is like to be an entrepreneur, right?
Yep. Yeah. Their Wi-Fi is pretty good. Yep.
I did buy a $75 drink to get it, but I just was laughing because I'm like, well, this is pretty accurate. And we try to give people the real view of what being an organizer is. It's not all wonderful. Sometimes your car is filled with sticky garbage, and sometimes you are stealing Wi-Fi from Starbucks to do a podcast.
So,
But I did leave my client with the ability to park her car in the garage for the first time in a year.
Yeah. Which is
So I'm just
pretty
going to call that a
amazing.
win.
and
Also,
everything so she could park her car in the garage is now in the trunk of your car.
Yeah.
many of the things are. Some of them are in a
Yeah.
bagster too. So,
Yeah.
well, I just wanted to have you guys on. You're 2 of my favorite human beings on the planet. I want to have you on to talk about what's happening in 2025. Obviously, we're going to talk about the How To Summit a little bit, but tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about what is happening in your business at HomeSort.
Well, what you guys didn't see is that for about 45 minutes before this started, we just forgot we were supposed to be on a podcast and all of us were just chit chatting.
Yeah.
And oh, we're on here for a
But
purpose.
we have a job. We have a
Yeah.
job.
Yeah. So I don't know, Brady, what's going on with us?
Well, Melissa, sometimes it's the same old, organizing for clients. We are doing 2 moves back to back, like in the next, I don't know, 8 days or so, which we love. Like we love helping locate because we feel like it's a really great service that we offer. Always business wise, looking at what we're doing and saying, is this totally what we want to do? Is it how we want to spend our time? Is this the smartest way for us to make money or spend our time? And just diving into what we're doing, but also being willing to hold things with an open hand or, hey, this idea, this business stream did not turn out to be exactly what we thought it was. Okay, let's pivot and do this. Or what's happening in the world? What's happening with the times? How does that affect what we do? In some ways, kind of feels same old. And then
Yeah.
always with the summit, ever changing, ever exciting, planning and prepping for that for other organizers and ourselves. So,
Y- You know what I think we do a lot, Brandy? This is kind of think what you and our everyday life is reevaluating what we've done.
Yeah.
Okay, we need to redo that. Okay, that worked last year, but it doesn't work this year.
yeah.
This morning, someone had asked us for a press kit, and it was like, oh, this press kit. I think I looked at it a couple months ago, but I was reviewing it. I need to edit this. I need to edit that. So we're constantly trying to stay at the forefront of what's happening in this business and in business in general and in the world. And you guys know it, everything changes quickly. So I think we reevaluate a lot. The other day, we even changed our labels for a move. Or okay, we found a better way to do that. Our old
Yeah.
labels were good, but these are better. So we do
Yeah.
that a lot in our business, don't you think, Bryn?
Yeah. That's so funny you say that. I mean, Melissa, you're the queen of courses. You have a course and a teaching on everything under the sun. Every time I listen to you talk, like Ryan and I would say this, Rack, we learn so much from you. And besides the fact that I laugh and your humor gets me, this is
Well, I feel like that's a key part of my job is to make
It's
me
Yeah.
laugh.
it's who you are.
You
You
nail it.
separate yourself from it. But this morning, I actually was helping at a kids camp at our church with Piper, and a business contact of ours was like, "Do you guys have a one pager? We call it our press kit that highlights these things about you and your business. Could you get it over to me kind of ASAP?" Luckily, Ryan was home, and
Well, let's be honest, I was actually asleep and my daughter had to come wake me up because
well,
Brandy
and you know why your daughter woke you up? Because I couldn't get a
Yeah.
hold of you, so I called her and I'm like, "Find your mother and tell her."
Yeah, your mother out of bed.
Yeah.
Snoozing. I'm on
I
a summer
was
schedule.
I was not gonna bring that part up, but I feel like, with Melissa, she doesn't judge you for that.
You
So
know.
but my point with that was, I'm glad that we've taken the time to have some of these tools in our belt. So I didn't expect last night when I went to bed that someone at 10 this morning was gonna be like, "Hey, I need this document that highlights all these things about you, and can you get it to me in, 45 minutes?"
Yeah.
That document would have taken us hours to create and edit and curate had we not had it ready. And Melissa, I feel like you're a big believer in that of having your stuff dialed in and being ready to go when you need it. And
Well, yeah, because then you can
really great
update it
that.
within minutes, not within hours.
Yeah.
I feel like we just do that a lot in business. It's okay, let's tweak this or, update that or what's current.
Well, let me ask you, I want to pick a little bit on this. I love this because I think that's actually a key thing that a lot of people don't do. Because what I hear a lot is, well, I've done it this way for blah, 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 how many years? And it doesn't
Mhm.
work anymore.
Yeah.
And this is dumb, but I just think, well, lots of us have iPhones. Does Apple go, oh, you already have iPhones. You don't really need a new one this year. No, they have a
Totally.
new one every single
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Right? Like you have to be looking at what's new. So do you guys have a process like when you talk about that reevaluation, do you guys get together and talk about it once a week, once a month, or is it just all the time you're saying, what did we do and what can we do differently?
Well, I would say kind of two different ways. Brandy's very much more on purpose than I am. So, for example, we updated our labels for our moves. So we have a couple moves coming up. I'm like purely, not purely, but 99% aesthetic. And so there were some things about some of these labels I didn't like the way they looked. And so without Brandy's permission or without her consent, I go on there and I'm like, hey, what if we do these kind of labels? I go change them and just brought them to the job. And it ended up good because Brandy liked him, but I would say Brandy is more intentional about, "Hey, let's reevaluate. I'm creative and I don't like the way this could function better visually. This could make us look sharper and more professional in this area." And Brandy's more, "Okay, let's reevaluate this system. Let's reevaluate our client guide." We just did that a couple weeks ago where we updated our client guide. And Brandy's very methodical with those things.
Well, I think too, Melissa, which you'll know this because us talking, Ryan is, she's creative, and Ryan is, I would say more than I am, like, ear to the floor in the world of what
Mhm.
friends of the world are. And so
Okay.
sometimes she'll see something which, you don't plan on Tuesday at noon to learn something new about the way the world is doing something. And she'll be like, "So I saw this on TikTok or wherever, and it's like actually a really good idea." So sometimes just like the nature of culture, I feel
Mhm.
like hits us and we're like, "Oh, okay. We don't want to be left behind in any of these things." Or I had an encounter the other day with something. Oh, and I sent Ryan a message and I was just like, "Hey, I felt like in this other area of my life, I feel like the people or the whoever I'm trying to please in this area, like no one's giving me like a clear target. I think they're giving me just like a lot of freedom." And that sounds really wonderful. But I said, as someone trying to provide a service, I actually think I'd really enjoy more of the clear, defined target. So I think that we should look at our systems and make sure with our teams and the people working for us, we're giving really clear targets. We're making sure that people understand at the end of the day, they know if they've pleased us or not as employers.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of a thing. So sometimes things like that just happen. And because,
And speaking of, and this is a shout out to Shira. I will always remember her talking about setting expectations with her clients too. How will I know that I've been successful at the end of this? That one question can change hitting the mark and missing the mark.
yeah,
And so I think that's really important, that communication piece. We used to, when we first started HomeSort, we tried to never speak to clients. We're like, this is a luxury. We're making this a spa experience for them. We don't want to bother them with questions. Well, then we quickly realized, oh no, we need to know their opinions on things because they live here, we don't. And so then we started
Ryan,
to,
if we thought everything for a client needed to be a surprise.
we
I can't
really
believe
did.
where we came up with that.
Because it was
No
in the era of where you would do these reveals on social
reveal.
media. It was so dumb. I can't even believe we did that. Be like, we'd keep the client out and they just listened to us, I guess.
100%. Now that you're saying it, I do feel kind of
And
dumb.
then the audacity to be like, we're gonna film you and we're gonna need a reaction. Like, what? Think about doing that to a client. I'd be like, I don't want to be filmed. And what do you
Right.
expect from me right now? It's so dumb.
But I like what you're saying too about even if you do not, even if you're not working side by side with your client, that's something I talk to people a lot about. You have to ask questions.
Yeah.
And yeah, there are some people that have a lower tolerance, like you can't have 1,000 questions,
Right.
but could you have 10 really well curated, very specific
Mhm.
questions that give you the direction that you need? And I think sometimes people are afraid to ask those questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think our bottom line to round out that whole question was
Good idea.
just sometimes things come up and we're like, okay, let's reevaluate in that area. And Melissa, you know this because you just individually own your own business. There's not like a board of directors or anything we have to, we decide we want to do something different. We just do it, which is
Yeah.
actually pretty great because you can actually accomplish a lot. We do reevaluate a lot. And because sometimes our first idea isn't always our best idea.
I'm
It
glad
is, but not every time.
But I'm
Yeah.
glad you guys are talking about this because you guys have obviously a unique partnership, right? I think sometimes that makes a difference too when there are two of you talking about something, and but by yourself, you also have to be doing that too. You
Yeah.
have to be and have a conversation with yourself, but you have to be doing that reevaluation process because what a client wants last year versus what a client wants this year is different.
Oh my gosh, totally different. So I think that is something on a daily basis we do a lot is we will update something, tweak something, make it current. And we even do that down to sometimes our pricing.
Yeah.
What we were pricing in COVID, which happened to be incredibly was a great time for our business. Not the world, but our business, it was a great we might be the only ones it was good for, but our pricing's different now. The world's
Yeah.
different now. So then
Yep.
you adjust. You can't get too stuck in your ways on something because that's just not the world is like moving like this. And so you gotta keep up.
What has your have you guys adjusted your pricing up, I assume? Or are you guys pretty dynamic? Do you change it up and down?
I know this may not be a popular answer, but our pricing is a little bit fluid. We like change it a
Yeah.
little depending on what's
It's
in.
nuanced as the
No,
I
I
know, but
actually
like
I wanna talk to you guys about this because I believe in this. Like, I'm for where you're going with it.
Ryan and I, if we have a crazy busy season of time, well, then we have the ability to price a little bit higher because we can. It's if we're booked out this certain amount of time and that price point seems to be going, then we're going to charge that. If we maybe have a season, just like a little bit of a dry spell or a slower season, or I can look at the world and go, I think people are spending a little less money, some things like that. We're never like, "Hey, we're gonna cut our prices in half." We're not doing that, but maybe we'll go back down to the last tier of pricing that we used to do.
Yep.
and some of the incentives, because everyone with home sort gets you know, the service is amazing, but some of the extras or the add-ons that we usually do for people at a certain price point, we will do for maybe somebody at a little bit lower price point.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
it's, like for instance, we are moving some clients tomorrow. And our moves are, I know that we are more expensive than if you hired one, two, three movers out of the phone book. I know
Mm.
that. Now, also, what we do is just different. We're not totally comparable. But if there's someone who doesn't care how their stuff gets from point A to point B, and we're in the running to get those clients, I know what makes us special and unique isn't totally a value to them. Then I can look at in my mind and go, they may not pay our rate for that because I don't actually know that they would value the service that we bring them. They may not care that their underwear is not with their lampshade. Genuinely,
Yeah.
some people don't care about that. So we have some clients that have been good clients, but we hadn't worked for them in a couple of years and they're doing a relocation. And I know that we would very much, the way we do things would very much matter to the wife, but I don't know if the husband would care. And he was really the one I was dealing with. And so I said to them, hey, since we worked for you, our prices have gone up a little bit, but we're going to work for you guys at the price that we have worked for you at. And Ryan and I were fine with that. We're not by any means losing any money, but as the business owners, we have the flexibility to do that. I would rather work for someone for $25 an hour per person less than lose a job
Yeah.
that could be a $25,000 job. Let's run some numbers here. I think we're going to
Yeah.
be there. We switch it around if we have to, Melissa.
I love that, and I have told people that I do similar things, and this is one thing I think just in general, I think really successful organizers have to be comfortable with being a little bit more fluid
Mhm.
because there are a lot of organizers that, like, we're organizers, right? So we go, "Well, it's A plus B equals C equals D equals"
Yeah.
like, here are the steps we need to do, and I think sometimes that actually does not benefit your business. So I totally do the same thing. If someone comes in and I just say, this is a job that I'm really interested in, I might throw in a couple like the amenities that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not pricing, maybe it's something else.
Yeah.
There's an organizer that I know I was talking to her yesterday and she said, "Oh, well, I just said I'll do a free garage clean out." And she goes, "Usually I charge $250 for that. But if you have a big enough job, I'll throw in that garage clean."
Yeah,
And she goes, "It's my time." So
exactly.
yeah.
Well, Melissa, there are certain clients, we're going to take away all their garbage and we're not going to charge them for it. It's smart business on our end. So yeah,
Yeah.
things like that. Hey, sometimes on certain jobs, we'll do like a planning fee to cover, hey, we have to pay someone in LA to go pick up all your product and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And depending on what it is, sometimes, okay, we're not going to charge them that $125 or what it is. It's little stuff. The beauty is that we have the flexibility to do that and we use it smartly.
Yeah. The other thing, it's just a random pricing pet peeve. I saw on Instagram recently where someone was doing a big announcement that they had new pricing and their pricing was going up, like big announcement. I'm like,
Right.
don't announce it.
Yeah.
You just do it, right? And
Yeah.
if new and then people get caught up with that, right? Well, I need to tell people that I'm doing this, or I need to say, well, then I can't lower my pricing because I'm announced. No, just be chill.
Yeah, I agree.
We don't have to make a big
Really
deal about
excited
any of
that
this.
like, what person would look at that and go, "Oh my gosh, their pricing has gone up. That is so cool. I'm so excited for them. Let me share
Oh
that."
no.
It's like, dang it.
I'm excited to now pay them more money to do
I
the same
know.
thing that I paid them to do for less money 6 months ago.
It's like,
Get
Yeah,
it.
don't announce it.
literally.
You just do it, right? And same thing, you don't have to announce that you're going down, right? You just literally don't announce it, you guys. Just do it.
I know.
I never bring it up. And this specific client, this relocation, I didn't I mean, the really truth is price wasn't an issue, although her husband really wanted to know. He wanted really
Sure.
good breakdowns. But I told her, because we've always dealt with her, I wanted her to know, hey, our pricing has gone up, but we really want to do this move for you guys. So you're not getting any increase. And I do think it made a difference. I think
Yeah.
she really appreciated that.
I know you guys love doing moves. I love doing moves. And there are organizers who are afraid of doing moves. And I will also say the best session that I went to at the summit last year was Brandon and Mallory from Hello Happy
Yeah.
Homes. And I know lots of people loved. I mean, I just loved that session
Yeah.
so much. But tell me a little bit about how you guys do moves. I mean, that's a huge part of your business, right?
Yeah.
Well, I will say, anytime that as organizers are going to try and provide a service that's different than someone else that provides it for the way less price, we have to figure out why someone would hire us as opposed to them. For instance, and I'm sure you've gotten this, when we first started Home Sort, everyone used to say, why would I pay you to organize my closet? I just have my house cleaner stay 2 extra hours and they do it. Okay, then Ryan and I had to decide, why are we different than your house cleaner? And so I think with relocations, what's the difference in if you call us than if you call like a moving company out of the phone book? So we've really had to like laser in and focus in on what makes us different. Now, we have a male and female crew for relocations, but most of our crew that is packing and in our clients' very personal spaces, like their drawers, their jewelry, their clothing, is our female crew. And for
Yeah.
our clients, usually because we are hired by women
Yeah.
most of the time, they have liked that. And I think just the organized method in which we relocate people, a lot of our clients seem to not be going directly from house A to house B. I don't know why. It's like there's usually a storage unit in the middle or something that makes this move a little bit more like complex. And so we do it very organized. We have inventories. Everybody knows where their things are. Our team is incredibly professional, clean, efficient, and the moves are done very quickly. So
Mm.
I have realized there's an expiration date on all business working relationships. And a big thing that we offer people is quick relocations, also point A to point B relocations. If we tell clients we're going to get their stuff across the country, it's going to stop in states on the way. So we have an incredible track record of people's stuff not being broken or damaged because we pack it so well.
And the ease up if something is broken, we literally write them a check right there.
You'll take care of it.
Yeah, there's no arguing. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, zero argument. They say it and we,
Yeah.
you know, I think this idea of you have hired us to handle every challenge that arises, every frustration, we will handle it. We just say, we're going to take care of it. We've got it. We'll
Yeah.
take care of it. And our team knows you cannot, I think any organizer is a luxury service. Anyone
Mhm.
who's having a hard time feeding their family and paying their electricity bill should not be hiring a professional organizer. This
Yeah.
is a luxury service, in my opinion.
It
And
is.
so we have to be able to go above and beyond for people. We say yes to a lot, Melissa. Like,
Yeah.
but we also, it's a nice price tag. I think that we really, the totality of what we do in relocations, yes, we do all the logistical things, but we essentially solve people's problems for 6 days on end.
And the people that we bring, people really like the reputation of Home Sort. They like the quality of people that are working there, like some moms want another mom packing their kitchen, they think we get it more, which to be honest, we do. There's
We do.
if my 18-year-old is packing up something, she doesn't know the things that I know about
Yeah.
brands and about, oh, that's an expensive X, Y, and Z. She knows a lot, but
Yeah.
there is something that comes with more experience. And so I think that is something that sets us apart against a 1, 2, 3 movers or
Yeah.
out of the phone book.
And I think you're right about the care that goes into when you know about things, like when you know things that are in a house, we do take better care of the things. To
Yeah.
a mover, a slice of pizza, which they will wrap and put in a box, is
100%.
the same as an Hermes purse, right? Like
Oh,
they don't
totally.
Yes.
care. It just goes in a box.
Yeah.
So it was funny when you were talking about having an all woman crew or whatever. I just did a move for a client recently, and she was like, she had some boudoir photos in her closet. She's
Totally.
do you know where, like the closet photos were?
Yeah.
I was like, it's handled. It's handled because we
Yeah.
did have movers that physically moved the boxes,
Yeah.
right? And I was like, no, it's handled. The dude with the Van Halen t-shirt is not looking at your boudoir photos. It's okay.
Yeah. Oh, Melissa, the stories we could all tell about
The
photos.
stories we could
For
tell.
sure.
I can't tell you how
Yes.
many times you go into a primary bedroom and they've got them displayed.
Oh yeah.
I'm like,
I don't have that.
"Well,
I don't
okay."
have that in my repertoire. I
No,
admire people who can do it. It's not me. But I was like,
no,
okay, no,
100%.
girl, it's handled.
But Melissa, I think
Totally.
too, since your podcast, we're speaking to other organizers. At any point, we all have to be able to give an account for why people should pay us to do what we do.
100%.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
they're not going to. Because if I'm no different than your house cleaner that tidies up your closet on Fridays,
Mhm.
why would you hire me? You
No.
know?
We are not a commodity. And so we have to be willing to talk about what are the things we do that are different and special. And I know a lot of times you're having to explain that to a spouse who doesn't understand why their spouse wants to hire
Mhm.
us. That's just a reality of our business. We have a lot of people that have to explain, why is this service? Why am I paying $100 an hour to have someone come in and clean my house? Well,
Yeah.
this is what we're doing, and it's not cleaning your house.
So interestingly enough, Brandy's daughter just got married and
Yes.
they did it in Miami. We're from California. So
Melissa knows all about the wedding.
Oh, I know.
yeah. So
I
normally we
love
have
it.
all of our resources here. Every resource you could want, we have here. Well, we don't have them in Miami. So we had to do research like everybody else. I found this florist for Brandy. Their work is amazing. We had meeting after meeting. They answered all the right questions. Day of the wedding, they did not deliver. I won't
Oh,
embarrass Brandy and tell you how much these flowers were, but it was Brandy was in tears. And so I'm there, getting the owner on the phone and, they didn't fix the problem whatsoever, just terrible service. And what happened is later came to find this out and the owner never told us is that he just contracted everybody out.
oh,
And so there was nothing more upsetting, like, I'm still not over it,
Oh,
how
sure. Right.
I need to email them. I'm gonna try and get some money back, but I honestly have not been emotionally in a place. I've still been upset enough about it where I haven't been able to like have a clear mind to write a good
yeah.
meeting.
Anyways, all that to say, there is nothing worse than thinking you're getting one thing and not getting that, and it being
Yeah.
worse. So, I think at these luxury price points that we all have, because we've already established we're all luxury, because this is
Yes.
you can survive without organizing. You have to deliver on not only taking account, but having your words and actions line up.
Yeah.
Move has to be worth the $25,000 or the 30,000. But we've had $100,000 moves, and it has to be worth that. Or yeah, you're just a terrible business owner, in my opinion.
And I would argue too, even at a lower price point. Like when I think about my client that I've been working with this week, she's a very long-term client. I've worked with her a lot, but I told her, I go, we need to do we got to get it done. Right.
Yeah.
And when I think about the price tag that she's paying, it's going to be a decent sized bill for her. She is not a super wealthy woman. I
Mhm.
deserve to give her at a $5,000 price point
Yeah.
a really, really good service.
Yeah.
That's a lot of
Which
money.
is why I have trash in my car, right? I don't want her trash can to be overflowing. That's
Yeah.
not $100 an hour service, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I just think, if a client's only paying you, if you have 9 hours with them and you're $100 an hour, you still have to give them $100 an hour service.
I agree. Again, think
So,
of how much money you're in someone's house for, however long, how much money $5,000 is.
yeah,
That is a ton on
it's a lot of
something
money.
that's something that, again, we can survive without. So,
Correct. I think too that it's easy to say, I mean, because I do really believe in women getting paid what they're
yeah,
worth. And one of the things that I get really, because I see a lot of businesses and I see a lot of websites and I see a lot of pricing and all that kind of stuff. I will always tell people, oh, we got to raise your prices. There was
yeah,
some the other day who's, well, I don't have that much business. People tell me I'm too expensive. And I'm like, does your website say you're $50 an hour? I was like, it's because you're attracting the wrong people. I need you to be closer to $100 an hour, right? But
Yeah.
I want women to get paid, but I think we do get used to like, I've charged $100 an hour for a while. And so in my head, I'm like, oh, well, that's just normal amount of money. No, I do need to think about that is a luxury price
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
And so
And
I deserve to be giving $100 an hour service.
I think the
So
client will feel that
yeah,
when you
100%.
value their money. Brandy and I say all the time, we have, billionaire clients. They still care about their money. They
They
care
sure
about
do.
it more
Sometimes they
than
care more.
yeah, they care
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
It's kind of that like middle of the road client that's a little bit more like, whatever, I don't ask questions because
Yeah.
I think they're maybe a little bit embarrassed too. But the billionaires, man, they're like, we're getting into the line items here.
Yeah.
They're coming over. Why are plastic bins so expensive? But also the truth is,
Yeah.
I don't get to decide what people value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to do what we tell people we're going to do. And Ryan's exactly right. If we tell people we're showing up, we're going to be there. We're going to show up.
Yeah.
We're going to do A, B, C, and D. And there is nothing more disappointing than if we charge someone and we don't deliver. Then
Yeah.
It's such a gut punch because it just happened to you.
Think about the worst service experience you've had. Unfortunately, you have a very painful
yeah,
recent one. Even if you just
Very
think
expensive.
about,
Yeah.
I got my dinner was burned or, something tiny, like you want that experience to be good when you pay
Mhm.
for it.
And you want it to be what they promised because again,
Yes.
they would look at the flowers at Peyton's wedding and they were gorgeous, but it's not what we asked for. And that is a horrible feeling when you don't meet an expectation and there's a lot of
Yeah.
money involved. And
Right.
what's a lot of money? Whatever your client says is a lot of money. Do you know what I mean?
But by the way, it was a very gorgeous wedding. I
Oh,
would never
it
have known
was.
in 8 million years that you had a problem. Even if, myself and every other person is like, oh my gosh, so beautiful. If you
Yeah.
paid a large amount of money for a service and you didn't get it
Yeah.
and it wasn't
yeah,
what they agreed to and all the things, that's not a good experience.
No, it does give me empathy for clients because a lot of times, because we all know how laborsome these jobs are, right? So I think we all get to an end of a job and we're like, we nailed it. We did a great job. And maybe you cut a few corners, or maybe you got tired. And so you're kind of like, well, it's good enough, you know?
Yes.
Because I will be honest, I think there has been a couple jobs where I have said that this is fine, but
Yeah.
that is terrible business because the client shouldn't have to pay for you being tired.
It's funny you say that because I've had times the clients today, 'cause it's not California and it's not Miami, but it's been hot and humid the last couple of days. One of those days where you're like, I'm exhausted, you're in a
Yeah.
garage, whatever.
yeah,
And today I just felt myself draining. And I was like, I'm not working as fast as I usually do. And I'm like, I am totally just going to give her a couple of complimentary hours, to
Yeah.
finish a couple things up. Cause same thing, like there were a couple things that I didn't finish today. And I'm like, it's because I'm exhausted. And I'm
Mhm.
going to be upfront with her. And because she's a long term client, I'm going to say, I'm super, super tired, but I'm going to come back and I'm going to fix a
Yeah.
couple things tomorrow
yeah.
on me because I want her to be super, super happy. And me being tired is not her problem.
Yeah. And I bet that made her trust you so much more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these are the things that we have in our power.
Mhm.
So like when you were talking about on your pricing, like sometimes you might give an amenity that you wouldn't normally do or whatever. These are all things that enhance the client experience. And I do believe I want women to get paid. Again, I do not want you to give away 25 free hours with every job. But
No.
if you can say, I'm going to give 2 hours of my time because I think it is going to increase their happiness,
Yeah.
you should do it.
Yeah.
Melissa, I just had this thought because you text us the other day with an idea of something you wanted to talk about. So, like, the flip side of this is what you said to me about people giving away too much for free before they ever get paid at all.
There are people I think sometimes that are concentrating on things that don't matter. So when you guys were talking about, hey, we reevaluate and we try to think about what are the things that we want to make better. But then I also want people to think about, does this actually matter? And I think sometimes organizers concentrate on things that don't matter as much to the client. So
Okay.
ultimately, like what's going to make the client experience better?
Mhm.
There is a gal that we love. She has her own organizing business, but we met her actually a couple years ago at the summit in Ohio. And she contracts with us down in Southern California very often. So we've really gotten to know her well. So we have a great relationship where she can call, and she's newer in the business than we are. I would say her projects don't quite hit the financial scope that our projects would. So she'll call and ask questions. And I've opened the door to her saying she can. It's
Yeah.
not trying to like defy a boundary, because to be honest, she has our back in
Yeah.
a lot of ways on the business end. So, anyways, she'll call because some of the relocation stuff is newer to her. So she was calling one day and talking about all the hours she was spending on a bid for a client. Like,
Yeah.
she got down to the nitty gritty of like product. She kind of like
Yes.
sourced and figured out what product was going to be for the whole house. And I mean, she's hours. She's like a full day into work in this bid.
Yeah.
She doesn't even know if she's gotten the job or not. And I
Right.
said, I'm going to stop you right there. You are putting way too much work into something that is not a guarantee. Now, Ryan and I have done that, and it feels pretty lousy to give up numerous hours upon hours of work for them to not hire you. Sometimes stuff like that happens and you can't avoid it. But, there is this balance of, you want to do a really good job on a pitch and a bid and an estimate and all the things, but don't do so much. You don't even know if they're going to hire you. I'm not even going
Yeah.
to talk product with a client until I know if they're even going to hire us. If they hire us, then we'll go down that road and we'll talk
Yes.
but, we depending on what the job is, sometimes if we're pitching a really big relocation that's going to be incredibly expensive, we have a pitch sheet that we put together, and it'll have an image of their current house and an image of their new house on it. Like
Mhm.
Ryan, she's kind of has this template put together, and then we enter, all the information, and it's impressive when you get it. I'm not gonna do that for a $1,500 job.
Right.
That's not worth that to me, but if we're pitching a move, who knows, that's 60 to $90,000 or
Yeah.
35 to $60,000. We're gonna do a little bit of the work and make this presentation nice, but even with that, I'm not gonna, in my mind, price out exactly what their moving supplies might be. I've kinda got an estimate there. I'm not
Mhm.
gonna start pricing out product for their kids' room at their new house. 'Cause that is so much work, and I don't even know that we're gonna get this job from people. There's just this balance in the amount of effort you put in to get a job, and I think maybe sometimes people are putting a lot more time into getting the job, and they end up not even getting it, and then they're discouraged and they're frustrated and they feel like they're wasting time.
100%. And also, I think that there are times that a certain client could get that wonderful thing that you put together and be like, cool, I have all the tools. I could just go do it myself. Obviously, you're not going to do that with a $90,000 move.
Right, but
But
still.
if it's a $1,500 job, someone might go, I have a blueprint now. And you
Yeah,
have done all that
yeah,
blueprint for them for free.
Totally.
totally.
And so I really wanted people to think about, and you're exactly right. If you guys are pitching a $90,000 move, you could and should put more time and effort into that.
Mm,
I think this is another thing where we say, "Oh, when a client comes to me, I do the consultation and then I do a proposal and then I do," and I always ask why. Does the client expect a proposal? Is that just part of your process? It's
yeah,
totally fine for that to be a part of your process, but I also want you to think about how much time and effort do I have to put into this to nail this job? And
yeah,
sometimes the answer is no effort whatsoever.
yeah,
Mhm.
I want them to examine why they're doing something.
yeah,
So, like,
yeah,
why am I doing it? Is it revenue producing? If you do 5 proposals a week and only one of them hits, maybe think about what am I doing? Where am I spending my time?
and I
Totally.
So
think for a lot of people, it leads to discouragement because it feels like a waste of time.
that discouraging feeling then translates to the next time you have a consultation. I will
Yeah.
tell people, so, we have different, you and I, the two of you and I have different businesses, right?
Huh.
I rarely do a proposal. I mean, rarely.
Yeah.
I'm plenty busy. Now, if I were doing a $90,000 move with 10 people, that would be a different story. I'm not doing that. But I
Yeah.
just say, I have it handled and I'll keep in touch with you, but I'm not going to give you a 10-page written document with a plan because I don't want to spend the time doing that. And my clients do not need it either. I just
Mm.
want people to be thinking about why am I doing the thing?
It's funny, this move we're going on tomorrow, I've always dealt with the wife, but then the husband has kind of gotten involved, which to be honest, he's been pretty easy and delightful to deal with because
Oh,
Men are just straightforward and bottom line, and but there are some details that he wanted that is not something I would have broken down the way that he wanted it broken down. And I think it's because he's never been the one directly working with us. So I think maybe some of our verbiage of how we do things and say things was a little foreign to him. I said something to Ryan. I was like, I kind of don't actually know how to explain this further than I've explained it. Would you look at this and give me some tips? So I put some more information in, and whatever I said, that worked for him. He signed a line agreement and paid the deposit within 20 minutes. And that's all we
Yeah.
wanted. And I could have come back with, this doesn't make sense to you. What more do you want me to say? But it was like, he just needed a little bit more information. It was
Yep.
no big deal. It did not take me any sort of length of time. And that was enough for him to say, great, we're good. Send me the invoice. I'll have it paid immediately. And he did. And it was great.
In general, and I think it goes back to what you said at the beginning, where you were talking about we reevaluate our stuff all the time. I just want people to be thoughtful about what they're doing. And if you are going into it and you're like, okay, I thought this through and this is important to me because blah, 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 but don't decide that something is important when it actually isn't. And just think about what are those things that are actually important to the client experience. Come back tomorrow for part 2 of my conversation with Brandon and Ryan. And I hope you have a great day, organizers.